Hey everybody, how are you? I hope you are fantastic, you are well, and having a great start to your week. I am here to speak to you about getting the job. Everyone seems to think that the hard part is about, getting a job interview and answering the questions perfectly and then getting the job. Okay, that is challenging, but more than that is about ensuring that you are successful once you are in the role and performing as well as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about yes, four things that you should do and prioritize within the first 30 days of starting a compliance role to give you the best chances of success going forward. But before I jump into that, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who is subscribing to the channel. We're growing, I'm excited, and I have a bit of time on my hands these days, just a little bit of extra time. So I am committing to giving you guys a lot more content before I start my next project. So at the boot camp that is taking place in June. So I really want to make sure that I continue to give you guys great information and knowledge before I get crazy busy again. So I'm going to make great use of this time. If you are new to the channel or you've been visiting and viewing the videos but haven't quite clicked on that subscribe channel, please do so. I would really appreciate your support and just sharing some love to me and the content that you do enjoy so much. Okay, let's jump straight into it. So it's really important to have a plan. You have to have a plan when you're starting a job. You can't just kind of like, I'll get there and wing it and hope that they give me everything that I need. A lot of places simply do not have time. They've got resource constraints. They're not able to really sit you down and walk you through. So you have to have your own plan for success. So here are the four things. Make sure you stay for the very last one because as we do on these YouTube streets, we save the best for last. So do make sure you stay for point number four because I think that is critical information. But let's jump straight in. So number one, you have to sit down with your manager as soon as possible and set clear goals and objectives. I'm not just talking about going through your performance, metrics and things like that and putting them on the system and then never touching them again. Have a clear discussion around what is it that you want to see from me within the first 6 months of this job? What do I need to be able to do and work on for you to be seeing that I am a great hire for this role. So sit down and have that conversation. Get from your manager what their expectations are in terms of your performance within the first 6 months and then thereafter the first year. What are the things that they are thinking about, meditating about? What are their priorities? And really make sure you have a good handle on that and have that conversation as early as possible. The last thing that you want to do is to be working on stuff that matters to nobody. So, very important to understand the criteria for success from your manager. So, have that conversation first week, 2 weeks max of being on the job, you should really be sitting that down and also set up regular catch-ups with your manager. Don't wait for them to call you and say, oh, how are you doing? How are things going? What are you working on? You're new to the organization. You're going to need some hand-holding. So speak to your manager and say, how frequently can we touch base? Be in touch weekly and maybe then as you get more acclimatized to the organization and how things work and what you're supposed to be doing, you can move that to bi-weekly, monthly, whatever makes sense for your organizational structure and the demands of a particular day or time. So but do make sure that you're setting up regular checkups with your manager. So number one, sit down with your manager, set clear goals, priorities, understand what's important to them, and set up regular checkups or check-ins. It's not like you're going to the doctor. Okay, that's the first and most important thing. Now, number two, and very clear, you might get a little bit of this from your boss, you might get a little bit of this by your peer, but you peers, you really need to establish what are the priorities. you're going to get in there and people are probably going to start throwing a lot of emails at you like, oh, this is what was so your predecessor was working on. This is what's going on. This is the project. This, I need this. People are going to try and take advantage and, reprioritize on your behalf and tell you that this is the most important thing and this is what you need to be doing. But you really need to sit down with all of that information and then maybe at your second catch up with your manager, really sit down and prioritize what are the things that are important, what are the things that can wait, what are the things that I can take my time to get up to speed with. And it's really important for you to prioritize because you want to be able to not drop the ball on your first day or first month of work. If there's a project that is a high priority project that your predecessor was working on, potentially a product launch, for example, that is about to go out and the risk assessment is sitting on your desk, handed over from your predecessor, but you've got it on number 50 on your list, that's going to be a problem and, cause a lot of tension between you and your different stakeholders. So really sit down and work through all the stuff that's forwarded to you, all the work that they say you're supposed to be doing, and get a good handle of what should be prioritized, what's urgent and important, what's important but not urgent. There's that matrix and really, categorize things. So I think that's really important to make sure that you don't, your reputation doesn't start with dropping the ball on something really important in the organization. So getting up to speed with what's going on and prioritizing, very, very critical for your first 30 days. Hopefully your manager is going to help you with this, but you never know. You might be solo dolo on that one, but it's very important that you spend some time really thinking about what's urgent and important, not important, but urgent, all those categories. So yeah, number 2, prioritization. Understand what are the high focus and important things that you should start working on immediately from day 1. Hey there, a quick interruption of this video to bring you a breaking news video about the compliance bootcamp taking place in June. But be sure to come right back after you watch it. Lots more coming up for you when we talk about how to be successful in the first 30 days of your role. But check out this video. Okay, so number 3, very, very important as well, is that you need to set up one-on-one time with your team members. Now, I know that there's different organizations where potentially you're not working in a team, you're working on your own. You're the sole compliance officer, that's fine. Your team, maybe you'll be talking to your risk counterpart, your audit counterpart, just to get a better understanding of what the issues are. But if you are in a larger organization and you do have a team environment, multinationals, large institutions, that type of thing, where they can't survive on one compliance officer, you are going to have a compliance team to work with. Someone is responsible for monitoring. Someone is responsible for this line of business, that line of business, AML, privacy. Massive organizations typically have massive compliance teams. So you need to understand from your immediate team, what is it that they do? How does your role fit into their execution and what do they require from you, whether it's ad hoc or on a regular basis, like every week you contribute to this report that I need to produce, so that you also have awareness of that and are not dropping the ball with your colleagues. Get to understand how it is that they work. Are you a person who thrives under pressure, or you need 16 business days notice to get anything done? So have those conversations. It doesn't have to be like a formal meeting. It can be a cup of coffee, sitting with them at lunch and having these important conversations. But put yourself in a position to understand the team dynamic as well. There's always little politics going on. Who's the queen bee in the situation? Who's the person who is not great at collaborating and working with other people? No one's obviously going to tell you that up front, but the more conversations that you have, the more coffees, you're going to read between the lines, get the insights that you need to get. And obviously, there are those who are quite frank and be like, that one doesn't work well with anybody. That one is great and delivers, that kind of thing. But the more you start engaging with your team and understanding those dynamics, the better you are going to be able to work and make sure that you're aligning your needs as well. And it's also an opportunity for you to communicate your way of working with them that, listen, I'm not a day before type of person, or I'm not a morning person. I work well at nights, or whatever the case is. Just manage those expectations up front so that you guys can have a good working relationship and collaborate instead of bumping heads. Okay. And then last but not least, and this is absolutely critical and a step that a lot of people miss because they're just so head down, and just a lot of people also overwhelmed with the work that they have to do. So they really do skip this part. But stakeholder identification is a key component of your success in organization. And why do I say it's that so important? A compliance officer sits within the second line of defense. We are not the executors of controls. We are not the creators in terms of actually operating and doing and implementing of controls. We advise the business on the controls, but they have to execute. So you need to identify who are the people that you are going to have to work with within the business partnership that you have in order to get stuff done, and really start focusing on meeting those individuals, building those relationships, figuring out their ways of working as well. What is there anything that they are struggling with from a compliance perspective? Are there any issues that you need to be aware of? Are there ways of workings and efficiencies that you can bring to the table, or complaints that need to be addressed from their perspective? So set up those one-on-one meetings, and I'm talking about with your first line people. So your sales guys, your product guys, your technology guys, your operations guys. Understand what it is that they do, how it all works and comes together, what your predecessors' contributions have been, what worked, what didn't work. Perhaps you can bring in some improved ways of working, but really sit down and have those conversations, not being defensive. And also, not saying, oh, that's rubbish, whatever, whatever. Understand how things worked, and maybe you can come up with ideas of how they can be improved thereafter. But you're not going there to do a critique of everything that they've done or what your predecessor was doing. It's really to just gather information and start that process of building relationships. Because like I said, we do not execute, so we need to build and work with the people who execute. And even with your fellow second line of defense individuals, risk or internal audit, those people, sit down and meet with them. They have a lot of insights, especially if they've been with the organization. They know what the audit findings have been, where and where. They know what the risk events of recent times have been. So really engage with them and get an understanding of what's been happening. That history is going to add flesh and color to your ability to advise the business to be effective sooner rather than later. So really, stakeholder identification is really just about identifying the people that you need to work with to achieve success, because no man is an island, specifically us who are not doers but advisors. We really need to have those relationships in order to be effective. I cannot stress enough to you how many times having a relationship with, or a friendship or with a colleague has really been that make the difference between someone agreeing to do something when you pick up the phone and being like, I really need you to do 1, 2, 3 for this particular project, and they reprioritize it to help you out, as opposed to when you don't have those relationships and you have to join the queue with everybody else. Fair, unfair, I don't know. That's a conversation for another day, but that's how relationships work. So always make sure that when you're getting to an organization, you're building your relationships with your colleagues, you're building your relationships with your different stakeholders in the first and second line as well. and that you are starting your relationship with your management by having open and honest conversations around what their priorities and expectations of you are within 30, 60 days, 6 months, and a year thereafter, and being able to really make sure you're prepped and in a position to achieve that. And then also just identify the priorities and make sure nothing is slipping through the cracks. I hope you found this video helpful and informative and something that you can use to plan your first 30 days in that job. Congratulations. If you've gotten it already and you are waiting to start or just starting, and if you're still in the job market, hang in there. Your day will come and you must come back to this video and watch it and set yourself up for success in your new role. Okay. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I appreciate you so much. And like I said, please, if you have not subscribed to this channel already, click that subscribe button. Also click the notification bell so that when new videos are popping up, you are amongst the first to know. And hey, share it with a friend who's also just started a compliance job. You know, they might need all the help that they can get.